Good morning, guys. It's me, Lori. It's Monday morning, April 20th. April 20th. Can you believe it? I know that many people are kind of stay at home or shelter in place orders and that kind of stuff. Some people are starting to open up. Some people are working through this whole thing. I know the kids are home from school for the most part, so life has been different. And I know I've talked about this before. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I know a lot of people are going through some stuff. I want to talk about the energy where 2020 has started and what we can do about it. I'll be right back. I'm back. I had to put my hair up. It was, I gotta cut it. I gotta cut it. I gotta do my eyebrows, so pardon my appearance. But okay, so 2020. 2020 in itself, what does it mean? Perfect eyesight, right? Perfect sight, supposedly perfect vision is 2020. Also, the expression hindsight is 2020. Let's take both of those into account. So, 2020 started, it actually started before 2020 actually hit, where the energy was. Remember, we talked about it, masks are falling off, people are showing their true colors, regardless if those colors are pretty or if they're dark. It started back then. It started probably mid 2019, but really came into like heavy, heavy energy right around November. Followed us all the way through into the new year. And then, like January, February, boom, like masks were falling completely. Then this whole pandemic thing started. People started losing their minds. And I know some people said to me, well, it's just the stress of this. No, it's the true colors showing. Masks are dropping. People are unable to maintain the facade. They're dropping for everyone. Regardless, I mean, we all walk around putting our best foot forward, our best front, right? They're falling for everyone. But if you are genuine and your motives are pure, does anybody look at their motives anymore? If you're trying to figure something out, go back to your motives. God told me at one time, and I know there are some of you that listen to me that are not believers. You can block your ears or you can listen. But this goes for secular people, spiritual people, whatever. Check your motives. What he told me one time is there is no spiritual battle that cannot be won if your motive, your pure motive, is love. Him first, right? Love. So what if your motive is love? You're not going to lose the spiritual battle. You're still going to go, the spiritual war, I should say. You may lose some battles along the way, but check your motives. And sometimes you might think your motives are pure 100% love, and then when you really start, peeling apart the onion, going through those layers, you might find that there's some self-centered motives there. It happens to the best of us, right? So, check your motives. Anyway, I went off on a tangent. I'm sorry about that. But so, pure vision. So, not only are we seeing the truth around us, okay? Good, bad, and indifferent. Sometimes the truth is ugly, especially, I mean, seriously, this world, those people that teach there is no negative, it's only your perception. I just disagree with them. I disagree with them completely. Are we moving up in consciousness collectively? I believe we are. I believe it's time for that. Do I believe that everyone is? No. I think we have to take other things into account. I see through spiritual eyes. I asked for that years ago, and don't ask for that if you're not prepared, because it's not a pretty sight. It's not a pretty sight. I just disagree with the people that think it's all your perception, because a baby getting raped, I don't have any way to look at that is positive. I don't want to hear it's somebody's path. I don't want to hear that baby chose that ahead of time. Anyway, there is evil in the world. Okay, I didn't mean to get off on that tangent either. I'm just saying we're seeing clear 2020, right? But also 2020 is hindsight. So what I've noticed a lot, especially lately, not only are the masks falling, but we are becoming self-aware. We are being urged by the universe itself to look within. Go, some things that maybe happened 20, 30 years ago, that you thought you had forgiven yourself for, or that you thought that had happened to you that you had forgiven for and that you had moved past. Maybe even psychologically you had, but spiritually they're still there. Remember we talk about soul wounds and that kind of thing? They're coming to the surface. Why would they come to the surface? Only so that we're being urged to reevaluate, to examine, to re-examine, and to let it go, because we are being urged to move up, raise our vibration, okay? The earth itself is cleansing herself, but that happens. That does happen. I got to tell you one thing through this pandemic. I've never learned so much in my life about viruses and illnesses and how they actually spread and how they actually work. I would urge you and encourage you to please do your own research. Don't just take what's being thrown at you. Please do your own research. And another thing is, what is it, Schumann's resonance. It measures the energy field, the radioactive energy around the earth. Every time that peaks and spikes, there's always some repercussions afterwards. It's really, really interesting. But anyway, we know that has recently happened as well. So let's take the time that's been given us, or maybe you don't have time, maybe you're still working, but this energy that's been given us, to use it wisely, okay? Help your neighbor. Are you selfishly worried about you and your little bubble? Or is it even selfish? It's only up to you to answer, right? Are your motives pure? So many people are really high intelligence and they have no idea about communication. Just because somebody can't communicate does not mean that they're dumb. A lot of people have emotionally been trained not to communicate. Some people are very frightened of it. Other people they just don't know how. Some people think they're excellent communicators and they're really not. Some people are really good in big crowds, but when it comes to an intimate relationship, they can't communicate to save their lives. So one thing that's really good to do is step outside of yourself if you can, train yourself to step outside of yourself and just for a moment, empathize with that other person. Put yourself in their shoes. Even, it's really hard to do for most people if you've never walked that path yourself. But just for a moment, just try to imagine and listen. It's so important. One big part of communication is listening. People are so worried about getting their point across that they don't listen. So many times in an argument, I know we've all done it. You're so, you shut up for a second, let the person talk, but you are so in your head about what you're going to say next that you're not even hearing what the other person is saying. So I just want you to ask yourself these questions, and then I'm going to leave you with that, and then maybe next time we'll talk about some other things, but ask me, I'm here if you need me, okay? This is my job, this is what I do. I not only help people connect spiritually with, and go through their grieving process and, connect with the other side and hopefully come to know God. I also help people through difficult times and through change, whether it's difficult or not. Even good changes can be difficult, I guess. Okay, so ask yourself this. Are you truly aware of your feelings? And not only what you feel, but why you feel it? Sometimes it goes a lot deeper than, you can ask yourself, okay, I'm feeling angry, but what about this is making me so angry? For instance, there was something that just happened recently. A lot of people throughout my career, and other people that do what I do can tell you this too. A lot of people either devalue it, or they say they value it, but they don't want to put their money where their mouth is, or they plain and simple rip you off and decide not to pay you, or, whatever. Depending on a person and their personality, they may come off as demanding, and, but there were a couple people recently, in recent months, were doing things like that, demanding and stuff, and a couple different people, it really struck me, it really evoked emotion in me, and I was like, why Why? Because realistically, they're doing the same thing that probably 100 people before them have done. And it didn't bother, I mean, I'm not going to say it doesn't bother me to get paid, but, it didn't bother me like this was bothering me. So I had to stop and ask myself, why? First of all, how am I feeling? Secondly, why? And it's a soul wound. It goes back to a soul wound because these particular people, even though their actions were the same as so many before them, not right or wrong. I'm not saying those people before them were right or wrong. I'm just saying, like, it's a wrong action to treat somebody like this anyway. But why did it bother me so much? Well, why it bothered me so much is because they were treating me, I felt, even though the action was the same, the energy behind it, the attitude behind it, was one of condescendence and arrogance and superiority, and I was being treated like the servant, and like the servant shouldn't be treated, okay? Because I don't want to say that the servant, like if you're a maid or a house cleaner, which I have been both, and I would do it again in a second. It's hard work. The only thing that would stop me is probably physical ability. Or the cook, or whatever you are, the lady in waiting, you don't deserve to be treated any less. In fact, you're a very big part of that person's life. You do a great service for them. Service workers a lot get treated like servants, like less than servants, and that's what was bugging me. It was like, no, you don't treat me that way. So I had to come to that conclusion to realize, why am I so bothered by this? And I couldn't take care of it the way that I should have taken care of it without knowing that. Okay? So what are you aware of your feelings and why you're feeling that way? When you're distressed, when you're feeling upset, when you're angry, when you're stressed out, when you're sad, can you handle your emotions well, or do you fly off the handle? And can you recover quickly? Which is something to ask yourself. If you can't, like, there are exercises to help you. Do you focus on your goals? Do you know, like, so if you have a goal, do you focus on it or do you get off track? And when you have a goal, do you know the steps that you have to take to get there? Do you take the time to think of that? That was 4, right? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I skipped one. So I guess number 4, are you aware of your personal struggles and weaknesses? Are you aware of them? And okay, a lot of people are aware of them and they totally crucify themselves for them. Don't do that. Awareness is the reason for awareness, and the reason why I push awareness so much is because when you become aware of something, you can fix things. If you're not aware of it, if you choose to live in the dark, you can't fix it. But if you're aware of it, you can fix it. I don't say become aware of it so that you can put yourself down for it. But are you aware of your strengths? Are you aware of your weaknesses? And if you are you working on them? How about, can you sense, this is a big one, the big one that I've been talking about. Can you kind of sense the feelings of other people around you, even if they don't say anything? And can you try, or do you try, to understand their point of view, or their way of seeing things, or their perspective, considering where they're coming from? How about, can you guide, like if you have something important to say, a difficult conversation, whether it's something coming from your heart to another person that they might not want to hear, or whether it's, you're working through a difficult situation with another person, can you guide a conversation to a satisfactory end or some kind of agreement? There's 6, there's more than 6, but I just want to focus on those 6. These are really, really important as far as like emotional intelligence goes, as far as communication, as far as getting along with other people. And, we all have been trained, or most of us have been trained, to make sure that you have like a good retirement account, to make sure that, you have property, you have life insurance, you financially set yourself up so that in your golden years you can be okay and not worry, and you can hopefully pass something on to those that you love. Nothing wrong with that. That's a good plan. But so many people focus on that and put so much into that that they allow the emotional side of things, the mental side of things to slip. And there's no balance there, you know. We've all heard the story of the rich person who's alone, right? Or the wealthy person that the only reason their grandchildren come around is because they want to be in the will, but they don't really care for the person. What are you leaving behind emotionally, mentally? Are you changing people's lives? You know, we change people's lives. We affect people's lives. We have the ability to change people's lives every day, just in interaction with strangers. Many times, most of the time, we're not going to know how we affected somebody's life in a positive way or in a negative way. We could have completely changed somebody's life in a positive or negative way and never know it because we never see that person again. It's something to think about. Every day when you go out, you're affecting the people around you and they're affecting you, depending on where they're coming from, you know? Another thing people tend to do is project onto other people their emotions or what they would do. You know, I hear it over and over and over. He doesn't love me or she doesn't love me because if they did, they would do this. Not necessarily true. Maybe you would do that, or maybe you need someone to do that if you're in a relationship with them. But don't do a blanket statement like that person doesn't love me, or that person doesn't have love in their heart, or you don't know that. You only know your point of view. Somebody can love you with all their heart, mind, body, and spirit, and not give you what you need in a relationship. What does that mean? That doesn't mean the person doesn't love you. That means that you guys aren't right for each other. You know what I'm saying? So many people get caught up on he or she doesn't love me, therefore I'm not lovable. But they're not looking at, no, that person just doesn't love the way I need them to love. Sometimes people don't love you, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying, you know, sometimes we get caught up in that and projecting onto other people what they might think because it's what you think, you know? That's another thing. If you're thinking, you know, that person is looking at me this way and thinking blah, 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 do you look at people that way and think blah, blah, blah? If you don't, why would you think that person's doing that? There's one of two reasons. Either you truly do look at other people that way, or it's something within yourself that needs to be looked at and examined and healed or fixed. So, anyhow, I've talked long enough for a Monday. Again, it is Monday. April. You can tell I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning, right? It is Monday, April 20th, 2020. The masks have fallen. Even though people still get up every day and try to pretend, if you just put on your spiritual eyes just for a moment, you're going to see. Sometimes even if you don't want your eyes on, if you want to be blind, you're still going to see. Seeing around you is one thing. You can make your choices and decide what's good for me, what's not good for me. That's great. To see the truth, even if it's painful, is good. It's great. See the truth within as well. Because you can't change this. You can make it go away, but you can't change this. But you can change this. Okay? God bless you guys. I hope you have blessings, whether, you know, whatever your stance is, whatever your belief is. I hope you have blessings and miracles galore today. And if you need help with anything, please call me. Let's get together. Let's talk, whether it's a group thing or a private one-on-one thing. Let's do it. All right. I do coaching one-on-one. I do teaching one-on-one. I do group stuff. I do classes. Let's do it, okay? All right. Talk to you guys soon.